This is Boxing Tickets NI. We are delighted to be joined once again in Zoom. It's been a while since we've done a Zoom, Thomas. Obviously, the last interview we done was obviously your homecoming in Galway in March. But first of all, obviously, delighted to be joined with you once again. Firstly, I obviously want to say happy belated birthday. You turned 27 yesterday. Another year
27, yeah.
older, another year wiser.
Yeah, I guess you could say that. Like I was saying, it's crazy where the years are going. I still remember my 21st birthday, now I'm 27. Again, just over 3 years ago, is it over nearly 3.5 years I went professional. The time is just flying. So I kind of see it, just keep working hard and, next, before I know it, I'll be 30, 35, 40, and hopefully I'll be retired and happy out.
Like 3.5 years, yeah, pretty much. Well, 3 years past there in September. So, like you're 12 and 0 now. Like, is it probably going for you so far? Probably how you'd have thought. Like, I guess you're getting the activity. You had 4 fights this year. Like, something I alerted you to, obviously, in your last fight, you've won 3 bouts in 3 different weights as well. So, like, you're getting wee memories along the way. Like, did you think these first, did you imagine the pro game would probably go the way it's went for you so far?
That's actually a funny one. I didn't realize that until you brought it up to me that it was 3 titles in 3 different weights. Yeah, honestly, if I look at it now, I'm happy with where my career has gone in terms of like my activity aspect of it, because I see a lot of guys will go pro and they'll be hindered with inactivity. And I see guys that have been pro much longer than me and they don't even have as many fights as I have. So, yeah, obviously, some things could have gone better. Like, for example, 2023 wasn't a great year for me, like inactivity. But this year's been perfect. I set a goal at the start of this year because I knew finishing 2023, I had to put that year behind me and, start fresh. And I'm very happy. My goal was to get 4 fights. Uh, and obviously, I've signed with a promoter now. I got my homecoming in Galway. Uh, got valuable rounds. I had 2 8 rounders. I went 8 rounds. Do you know what I mean? So I got rounds, and now, like, starting 2025, I have a big fight lined up. Do you know what I mean? So the last year has gone really well, and I am happy with what I've achieved so far as a pro. Do you know what I mean? And the next 3 years will be big, hopefully.
Well, that's when you turn the big 3-0 as well. So you have to make the most of it. Like, I guess, it is probably the perfect year for you in some sense because, like you fought more than 4 times, really. You fought 4 times in the professional code, but you fought in them one round things as well, isn't that correct?
Yeah, the TCL, that was a unique experience, all right. It was funny. So you had all the fighters lined up outside the ring, and you go in one round, the round's over, you get out of the ring. The next 2 fighters go in, and then they announce the winner of that round while you're already out of the ring. Like, it was a funny, and that night I did it, I had two with them. So I had to warm up, do a round. Then I had about 45-minute break and I had to go in for another round. So you warmed up, did a round, cool down, warm up again, do a round. And it was good because everyone in that were very high level. Uh, I know two kids I boxed. One of them, he's a new enough pro, but he was a national champion in America, and the other one had can't think of their names now, but the other one had
I'm
boxed at a
just
high
bringing it up.
level, like.
I'm using the good old thing of box rec. Uh, you fought Nasheed Smith
Yeah,
and Demetrius Ballard.
yeah, I know Demetrius. He had boxed uh my mind's drawing a blank now. Who's that Mexican that fought Canelo this year?
Uh,
Munguia, thank you. He had boxed Munguia, so and that Nasheed Smith was a high level amateur, so it was good just to get, even though it's only a round, you got to look at it, because yourself as a professional, your first few fights, you're building, you're trying to get the right looks, and it can be a struggle, so it was it was an experience, you know what I mean? And yeah, so I've been active this year, which was a real blessing.
Yeah, so that's pretty much like 6 fights effectively. Did it feel weird, I guess? Like people were probably looking at you with a target in your back, where they're seeing you as a professional and doing very well as a professional. Did they then obviously get into them one round tournaments where they effectively can be like a shootout? Like, did it feel like an amateur sort of, did it feel like you're back in the amateurs? Did it feel like you had that pressure, or was it probably no pressure attached to it because it was a one round thing? It was for a team event rather than individually for you.
Yeah, it's funny. So the whole idea behind it was, guys, no pressure. it doesn't matter. It doesn't go on your record. But I'm not like that, like I'm a winner, like, and losing isn't, you don't want to lose, like, so I had that pressure myself, I didn't want to lose in that. So, I only did that one night. It ended up now working out for me to do others after because I had a professional fight and stuff like that. But, I won both my ones that night, and I see a lot of the good high level pros that went in there and they did the whole tournament and, they won some, they lost some because it was one round, like, kind of you look at anyone can lose a round. Do you know what I mean? So they're only one round. So I see a lot of the high level guys that are unbeaten in the pros. They lost rounds in this, like, but didn't really matter. But for me, it would have mattered, like, But that's just my own kind of way. I don't want to lose, like, So yeah, I felt a bit of pressure, but that was kind of the logic behind it. They were like, don't feel pressure with it, but you know yourself when you're
It,
fighting, there's always a bit of pressure.
yeah, I was going to say it's that pride that kicks in. Like you always want to win. It's like if you went into one of them tournaments then and then like, oh, there's no pressure. It's then having to switch yourself back to the pressure scenario of being a pro in your profit fights and going, there's no pressure, and you go, you always have pressure on yourself.
Yeah, like like I'll never be there just for the money. Do you know what I mean? It would be, you want to win. Like you see some guys that take big fights and they're just going in there for the payday. Like, it's like you said there, it's the pride of it. Like, I'm an Irishman, I'm a Connemara man, and I think of the likes of like Sean Mannion, everything he's done, and you kind of have that weight on your shoulders a bit when you're in there. You have to live up to where you come from. So yeah, I carry a lot of pride with me when I'm in the ring. Like, so I'm always there to win, no matter what.
As I say, it's just I don't know whether it's just an Irish thing sometimes, but that's the mentality people have. Um, it's like you've three boats now. Like you're probably not like be classified as a boat collector in a way. Like I believe you fight with James Perkins and on the 8th of February is going to be for another title as well. Like this is your first 10 rounder as well. So I guess you're probably getting to the nitty gritty parts that you've probably already wanted as a pro the whole way along, getting into these serious sort of level now. You've done all your sort of baby steps sort of in the sport, so to speak. So this is the part now it starts to get exciting for you.
Yeah, so obviously, the first few fights I had, it was a struggle because I quickly kind of went above that first level as a pro, in the domestic scene, kind of in Boston, the kind of building the resume, and I was getting through my opponents pretty handily. And then you have promoters, the level of opponents I needed, they cost a good bit, and promoters didn't want to pay for that, especially if I wasn't signed with them, So I'm very lucky now. Like my this year, I had a good fight in Galway. I've had two good 8 rounders back to back with the Nolans, and now I have this one, So they give me the opponents I need to really elevate me to the next level. Do you know what I mean? Like I've been stuck in and around the top 100 in the world for the last 2 years, like, which is an achievement in itself, like, but, then to push on to like the top 50, 30, 20, and, you need those other opponents, and, it's hard to get them if you're not signed with anyone. So I'm very lucky now that I can push on, and I'm hoping next year will be a year just like this year, and, I'll get plenty of activity and the right fights.
Signing obviously with the Nolan brothers, do you feel accomplished now? Obviously, I know you say you've been in a few of their shows. Like when a promoter actually wants to physically sign you, like do you actually feel as if you're sort of, you feel loved sort of in some ways, when somebody's going, they want you to be theirs. Like
Yeah.
you probably now feel a wee bit more confidence and pride in yourself. Not that you didn't have it before, but when you can physically say, I'm signed to promoter, I'm guaranteed X, Y, or Z from fights or whatever. Like this is obviously a big thing for you.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing, so obviously I talked to a few promoters, and I'm talking to managers and all that stuff all year, like, but I was very weary, careful with decisions, or like what decision I was gonna make, And the thing with the Nolans is not only do they want to sign me, but I'm their guy, like, they're number one. It's like having Joshua or Canelo with Matchroom, like I was the face of their promotional company. So for me, that was a big thing. And it's the business side of it where that'll help elevate me to the next level, So, I'm working well with them. They're good guys, and I'm enjoying the journey so far.
And they seem to be promoting you very well. Obviously, I know I do my promotion for you in the build up to your fights. Like I think when I was promoting, but doing the weeks to go post the other day, sort of going, it's a bit early for this, like
Yeah.
9, 10, 11 weeks out. But like it's that promotional side they'll give you online as well, because let's face it, you're employed as a boxer, you're paid to fight. sometimes the social media aspect, a lot of people can forget sometimes, but if they can do that for you, that just makes it easier for you to concentrate on your fight rather than going, I need to do this, I need to do this. Whereas if they do the promotional side for you as well, life's a dream for you.
Yeah, that's why the biggest side of boxing that a lot of fighters wouldn't understand is the social media aspect. You have to kind of build your brand. Like you're a company at the end of the day, like, and you work for yourself. Like, you have to build your company, and that's kind of the way to build your business. Like, so that's kind of the way it is. So, yeah, it's a lot of fighters just want to get in there and fight. They want to, I'd be one of them. I just want to train, get in there, and do my job. But there's another part of the job is the social media aspect. So like I said to you before, very lucky with the likes of you. IrishBoxing.com, all of them. Like what you guys do for the Irish fighters is unbelievable, and we're very blessed to have you. So for all the Irish fighters, I want to say thank you for that.
I guess it's one of them things sometimes. Like I know me as a fan of the sport. Like I always put the shoe in the other foot and sort of go if it was me. I would like someone to be able to take that away from me sometimes. And I guess as a fan, like I, I'm blessed sort of in some ways because obviously I can speak and ask the questions to you rather than listen to somebody else's interview. So in some ways, I'm an unfortunate thing where I can ask whatever questions I want. If somebody else doesn't like them afterwards, when I put them online, to go, why did you ask that question? Because I can. That's
Yeah.
it's me doing it for me. Obviously, it helps you, but I feel blessed in that way, so it's never an issue for me. Um, James Perkins, what do you know of him? Obviously, he's 13-2-1, so he's experienced defeat. And sometimes the thing with that is once they've experienced defeat, they're even hungrier. He's nicknamed the Pitbull as well. So, like, are you going to be his dog handle the night and keep him under control?
Yeah, I'll have to be the matador, I think. It's funny with James, he's actually kind of I wouldn't say a buddy of mine, but I know him very well. I have a lot of respect for him. We sparred each other. Uh, and he's earned that name, the Pitbull, all right. Like, he's like a mini Mike Tyson. He's, very strong, very physical and aggressive. But I'm very confident. Like I said, these are the fights I need, and there's no point waiting around. I'm very confident in getting the victory that night, and I think a lot of people are going to see a better side of my boxing come February 8th.
I guess the good thing for you sometimes is like you're not one of these fighters you want to smack talk. Like you obviously have the respect. Is it weird for you in a way when it's somebody you've sparred and stuff previously? I guess you sometimes can have that vision from I've sparred him before, it was easy, but then it comes to a fight and it's totally different. Like how are you weighing that up, knowing you've done rounds with him previously? I guess you know his size, you know his reach and things like that, but you probably erase it from your mind from the spars and then just focus on how the fight goes.
100%. Like I think with my experience now, I realized this over the last few years, sparring and fighting are two different things. So even when I won my first national title as an amateur, I nearly didn't want to fighting them because this last few sparrings I had beforehand, I was brutal, like. And it just goes to show, like I was never always a great at sparring, but I always showed up on fight night. It was always, you have some guys there that they're world champions in the gym, but they can't do it under the lights, like. And I always ignore the sparring because there's times where I haven't sparred well, but then I go into the fight and it's different. So I try and ignore the sparring. Obviously he would know a bit about me, I'd know a bit about him just generally, but like maybe the power and stuff or what they like to do. But yeah, sparring and fighting are two different things. When you're in there, smaller gloves, no head guard, everyone screaming, you have that added pressure, the extra anxiety. It's a different game, like. And we'll really see who's the top dog.
And obviously, I guess for you in some ways, like, when it's an opponent, obviously at this level now, like, don't get me wrong, obviously you've had opponents probably had more defeats and things in the past. Like, this is a big test for you in some ways, Thomas. Obviously, the weird thing, obviously, in fighting in America is you could obviously fight an opponent's got 15 losses, but he's not a journeyman, so to speak, as what we have in the UK and Ireland. So, but as I seen previously with Emmett, obviously Emmett was taking decent rounds when an opponent, and you're sort of going, this guy's record suggests to us in the UK and Ireland they're a journeyman, but in America you don't have journeymen, so these guys just come and they go hell for leather. So, but for you in a lot of ways, this is for everybody to sort of go. This is you taking a bigger risk.
Yeah, like I can point out two or three fights I've had as a pro already where, if you look on paper, it shouldn't be a problem, but they gave me a good fight. Like, and if you look at their resume, you look at closely, you see their losses are all against quality opponents, like, do you know what I mean? So, like, for example, there's a kid who trains with us. He's I think he's 5-25 is his record, but he's good. Like he's a real sick boxer, but he always goes in as the B side. Maybe he'll go the weight, he'll fight a weight just above him, or whatever it is. But he's given these prospects, tough rounds, like, and on paper you don't think he's going to, And the few wins he has are all upsets. Like he's never taken an A side fight, they're all upsets, fights he's meant to lose, and he wins, like, So you have that in America a lot. Like you get a lot of these guys where you look at their record and they don't look good on paper, but in reality they are good, like,
Yeah,
So
it's a weird one for us sometimes, because I say, and I know people sometimes will see when you, particularly when I post up sort of fights and they go look at our record, they don't understand it's completely different in America to what it is here. When you look, I guess you're not going to look past obviously James Perkins, but obviously that's your first 10 rounder, and obviously depending on what the belt is, like, is the aim for you obviously, I guess, to be pushing up the world rankings 2025? Like, obviously I don't want you giving away any secrets of what the belt or anything is at this stage, but like, is that your plan for this year? Do you see by the end of 2025 how highly ranked you could be in one of, if not more, of the governing bodies?
yeah, that's been my goal for the last year or two, is to get one of the ranking titles and build up the rankings, because that's where the big fights are. Like you said, I've kind of done my apprenticeship now. I've shown I'm above a certain level, and now it's time to see if I'm world level. Obviously I believe I am. I haven't proven it yet, but I'm in this game because I believe I'm world level. So, James is the first step on the way to that. We get a win in February, and then, like I said, I'd like to get, another 4 fights maybe in 2025, and hopefully at the end of the next year we'll be in a great position.
Obviously, Kieran Molloy, obviously another Galway man. Obviously, I think he was supposed to get another homecoming again. Obviously, you'd obviously yours in March. He was supposed to have one again in 2024. It looks like potentially maybe summertime, around June, July, maybe we could have Kieran Molloy home for a homecoming. Any chance of the two he's going together in the same cards? I know he's a good mates.
Yeah, it could be. He had a good win on the weekend. He's doing very well as well. Yeah, it could be done. I think me and Kieran together on the show would, we could have it at a big venue in Galway. And I think with both of us, thank God we have a lot of support, with just Galway, Connemara, they really come out and support us. So I think we could for sure. Obviously, it would depend on my situation here, with my promoters and, what I'm doing. Obviously things have changed for me since September, signing with the Nolans, and, kind of we have our kind of plan going forward. So we'll see. Like the way I see it, if it makes sense, I'm up for it. Like I've always said to you, any fight, like offer me any fight. If it makes sense, I'll do it. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, it's a business as well as a sport. Like, so, yeah.
Definitely is. Obviously, training wise, obviously we're a couple of weeks out from Christmas. Do you have, like, have you planned early to start to train so you can sort of have an allowance for sort of Christmas dinner and a few selection boxes? Like, obviously, how does the training camp around Christmas prepare you for February?
Oh, I've been eating my selection boxes since my last fight. So, yeah, that's kind of, I'll be training all through Christmas. Ozzy is one of the sacrifices. I'm not going home this Christmas. I'm staying put in America. I'll be in camp, like, Uh, but yeah, like, I'll be in camp, but I'll eat my turkey on Christmas Day and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? I suppose January 1st is kind of when they say the real work starts. But like I'm starting training now, and I'll be in good nick over Christmas. So come January 1st, I'll be, I'll be in good nick. So it'll only be the few weeks left till the fight. So yeah, you can't really enjoy your Christmas too much when you're that close to a fight. That's always the downside of fighting in January and February. But look, it is what it is. It's the job, and have to make the sacrifices.
Yeah, exactly. The sacrifices are going to be worthwhile. And, if you get to your dreams and your goals and aspirations in the sport, then these short-term sacrifices will be worth in the long term.
Exactly, that's it. You know what I mean? Like I've had a vision since I was a child. I wanted to do this, and it's. I said I put up a post. It was, I think, a week ago. It's 7 years since I won my first national title, and I remember how hard it was to get to that point. And just that was the best night of my. I say Galway was probably the best night of my professional career. My first national title, the intermediate, was the best night of my amateur career. Like just the bumps I had to get there, between injuries and trying to find the right gym for me, and getting like dodgy decisions. And I stuck with it, persevered, and I got that. And then from there on, it's just hasn't been smooth sailing, but I've achieved probably more than maybe I had thought of at the time. Like, between into like winning the elite, representing Ireland, Haringey, going professional, being, do you know what I mean? So it's kind of all about just keeping with it and pushing with it, staying disciplined. And I do believe that if you work hard, what's meant for you won't pass you.
We've obviously had a lot of new pros, obviously in the last year. What's obviously you're a smart guy, Thomas. Obviously you're building your career, everything else. Obviously, at the end of the other sort of younger pros that just sort of starting out, like what sort of advice would you sort of maybe give? If you were to go back, you starting as a pro, what sort of have you learned in these last 3.5 years? You'd like to pass on the others to go, to make sure that sort of people don't fall into the same sort of molds.
Yeah, it's a tough one. I think for anyone before they go pro, they should try and talk to a lot of fighters. And I've always found it funny. Some fighters are very secretive about, what they're doing when they're talking to people that want to go professional. And it's kind of wrong for me because, like, this is a tough game. If you can pass on a bit of knowledge to a fighter, like, we're all just trying to make it. You know what I mean? So I'm very, I consider myself quite open. If someone was to reach out to me, I'll tell them the way it is, like, and maybe the few things that I did wrong when I went professional, or like things they should look for, whether it be a management contract, promotional contract, or, where they're going to base themselves. The biggest thing when you first go pro is activity, being able to be active and be able to build your resume, that's all you have to worry about. You shouldn't be worrying about like trying to get a lot of money at the start because there's not going to be a lot of money unless you have an Olympic pedigree. So you have to worry about building your resume, getting the right people behind you, the right team. And it can be hard, like, there's a lot of I don't want to say snakes in boxing, but there's a lot of people in boxing that are in it for themselves. So you have to make sure they genuinely care about you.
Yeah, very much so. I think Tommy McCarthy always says it very well. He says that the boxing game could be snakes and ladders. This is obviously choosing the right path and trusting the right people. You
Yeah.
know. But look, great to obviously get a great catch up with you. Obviously, I know it's earlier on for you in the day. Unfortunately, in America, it's probably more winter there than it is here. Obviously, we get the 1 degrees or a bit of snow and everybody's going mad, whereas in America, you can get it 10 times worse. Um, Obviously, enjoy Christmas. We'll maybe obviously touch in maybe again closer to sort of fight week and things because we've gone one early. So we're like still about 8 or 9 weeks out. So maybe tie me again, obviously, in the build up to sort of fight week, sort of and see obviously how you are then.
Yeah, for sure. I look forward to it.
Well, Thomas. Well,
Big
look, have
time.
a great Christmas and we'll catch up with you soon.
Yeah, you too. And thank you very much. God bless.
Cheers, Thomas. Take care. Thanks. Bye bye. Bye bye. Bye.